You're listening to Nurture Your Zest. I'm your host, Ashleigh King, and I will introduce you to a wealth of interesting, fascinating individuals from all walks of life who will share their stories, how they've overcome challenges, and you will find out their top tips for success. Through this podcast, you can gain tips to grow and change your life and the way you see the world, and help you to nurture your zest. Hi everyone, I'm Ashleigh King. I am the host of the Nurture Your Zest podcast, which has recently become live streamed to Facebook. Usually we were in a studio, so it's been so fun to learn new skills and new techniques. And I'm thrilled because this means I can chat to people who are based further afield, super busy, and sometimes all over the world. So that's really great. Tonight we have our guest, Nicola Jayne-Little, and I'm so pleased to introduce you to her. So Nicola and I met recently. We've been chatting for a long time on LinkedIn and, kind of watching what each other were doing. And it's so nice to now be able to have her as a guest this evening. So Nicola is a trainer. She's a former teacher. She's a rebel, full of fun and curiosity. And she also has built her own community from the ground up. The Mint Business Club, which is a fantastic business club that you'll hear all about tonight. And I think it's really important because with everything going on at the moment, businesses are having to adapt and pivot, as we say, or work in different ways. So the story of what Mint have been doing is going to be really powerful to hear. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Nick to the conversation now. Hi, Nicola.
Hi, how are you?
I'm really well, thank you. It's so nice to see your fresh, smiley face, your minty positivity.
I'm trying. It's like past my bedtime, it's 7 o'clock.
Really? Are you an early night person?
Totally. Because I get up with such regularity to jump onto my lives on a morning. And like by tea time, I'm sort of lying on the couch, kind of shell shocked, you know what I mean? So it's like, oh, I mustn't touch my face because Rebecca's watching. And Dr. Rebecca Dinsdale, whose husband is working in the NHS, she reminds us every single day, you mustn't touch your face. So don't touch your face or you get wrong off Dr. Rebecca. It's for the COVID. Yeah, it's really, really important not to actually touch your face.
That's such good advice because how many of us just touch without thinking,
like
wiping your
lips, hair,
so...
do this, play with your headphones, which look pretty like weird, don't they? Like, what did we say? Glasses and headphones at the same time? It's not a good look, really, is it?
No, it's not. But we'll rock it anyway.
Well,
who cares?
We do. We rock it anyway.
So I know that people would love to hear all about Mint Club and what you're doing with this daily dose of positivity. And I've got some questions about that as well, because I would like to know how on earth you stay positive every single day, because that is a big challenge, But we'll come to that in a little while. For now, okay. I would just like to know a little bit, who is Nicola? Like, who are you? We'd love to hear. How would you describe yourself?
My goodness, I don't know that I've ever been asked that before. Who's Nicola? I'm a teacher at heart, someone who just helps people and who lives to help people, and that's what I do. So in every kind of job I've ever done, I've worked in recruitment, I was a school teacher, when I worked in retail, and now obviously then a trainer and doing what I do now. It's about helping people be the best that they can do in whatever that was. Which is pretty cool because that's my life value, which is at the heart of what Mint Business Club is about. And it was really finally brilliant to realise that. It's taken us quite a long time, but it was great to realise that actually my values that are at the heart of the business club are what I've always been and what I am. It's just someone who wants to help. So that's me. I guess I'm a teacher, a proper school teacher with a waggy finger.
And I hear you have a nickname from your teaching community. Would you like to share it?
So if Barbara's watching, because I've watched quite a lot of people join on who are Minties, Barbara Allen, who teaches French and did the most amazing job of pivoting her business. And this is what I love about Mint, is all the stories. So Barbara Her clientele, her customers are probably age 60 and over in the main. So she teaches French. She's pivoted the whole lot online. I mean, you're talking about a demographic that you might not think would easily switch to, like Zoom training. Anyway, so Barbara managed to get them all pivoting. And she just one day called me the benevolent dictator. And it was my birthday this week. And I get this card from her with benevolent dictator on, which I've now put in a frame. And I'm saying I just didn't quite understand which bit was more important, the benevolent bit or the dictator bit. But I think it's pretty cracking, I have to say.
I love that it's a blend of the naughty and the nice. Not the naughty, the straightforward, direct approach. And actually, I'm a big fan of props, so I would love for you to show us that framed pic if you've still got it. Excellent. Benevolent dictator. I love it. Thank you so much for showing us that. So you spoke earlier about how you actually found setting up your own business now, your third business in a row, which is great. And we'll talk about that as well. But how living to your values, your business now is very much about your values. And I'm curious about that because I am also a big fan of value-led activity, value-led sales, value-led business. And I'm wondering, at what point did you discover your values, or has it been a journey to get there?
I think that, so all through my working life, I didn't particularly fit in. And actually what was really interesting was whenever I used to have an issue, right, my dad would always say, look, you just can't change who you are. You can't change who you are. You are what you are. And you love helping, and it's going to get you into bother because you're opinionated as well. But where you come from is always in the best place for other people. And I'd sit there in tears with him. I'm like, Dad, why am I in this bother again? And he was like, just because you're trying to do the best and someone else doesn't see your viewpoint and you're not seeing theirs. And so I struggled quite a lot with that. But I guess that, I come from a family who are teachers in the teaching profession, who are also have all been self-employed and had businesses. So you have this juxtaposition with the surrounding love of helping people and also wanting to do stuff on your own. But so my value came from being really small, came from my parents, came from watching them help others. They had little shops, right? And they knew every customer. Actually, people used to come in our shops. My mum and dad knew every single customer's name. They knew who they were. They knew what they were going to buy before they walked in the door, which is great customer service skills, by the way. But it was about how much they cared about people. So when you grow up in that household, you can't not absorb that. You have to absorb that. So my values have always been the same. I'm proper sensitive, whilst also being quite hard at the same time. And to be able to live that in the work that I do and love so much is great, because the whole business pivots around people being the best they can be, and my job and the team's job is to bring that out in people. And that could be from confidence through to understanding Facebook, through to understanding your finance and your numbers. I mean, it's every part of running and being self-employed, but I believe wholeheartedly that our success comes from us and how we believe in ourselves. Because if you don't believe in yourself, it's really, really tricky to make a business work. I'm on to my third go now. And my first one was absolutely brilliant. I loved everything about it, and was also a bit of a car crash at the same time. But we learned so much from that, So living your values, it's always in our training. Who are you? What are you about? What are your values that people will come to you for? And don't make it up. It's got to be real, right? It's got to be real. And that does take courage. And one of your words is courage. I think to be yourself in your small business, when you might have everything against that, takes quite a bit of courage. Who am I? What value do I have? What do I offer other people? And so how do my business values sit around that?
That's very, very valid and important what you're saying there. And it makes me think of something I often say, which is, what would people say about you when you're not around? That when you live to your values, it's much easier to be yourself, and it means that you attract your tribe. And the ones who don't really like you or get you or want to engage, they'll do their own thing, and that's fine. I was chatting to someone today about, they were upset that they'd had a lot of unsubscribes, And we were talking about that, and I was explaining that actually sometimes that's a really good thing, because what it means is that the people that are not for you, they're going. You don't have to be
Yeah,
liked by
yeah.
everyone. But at the same time, sometimes it is about what you're doing and maybe your self-awareness of the way you write, or there's other things in that as well. So you spoke about being sensitive, and that's a beautiful trait. And I think it's a superpower, being an empath, but at the same time, when you're sensitive, it can be really challenging, because there's a lot of stuff out there, like the news, people's negativity, so many things. And I would like to know, you mentioned you're doing daily positivity posts. How are you, as a sensitive person, how are you managing to keep up that kind of momentum? And we talk about zest on this show, and it's a metaphor for your passion for life and your
Okay.
well-being. So how are you nurturing your zest? How are you making sure that you've got, the resilience to go and do these beautiful posts every day?
So again, the feedback I get from the members when I do those posts every single day makes me want to get up the next day and do it again. So as long as the members in the community need me to get out of bed and be positive for them, I mean, some of the messages have been so staggeringly lovely, and I know how much I'm helping, and they tell me. So that's all I need. If it's going to help people and they tell me it's helping, and they say thank you, or they go off and try a challenge that I've set, then I'll get up the next day and do it. And it's really great fun all day. I'm thinking, oh, what am I going to say tomorrow? Oh, what will tomorrow's challenge be? Who can I thank tomorrow? Whose earrings can I wear tomorrow? Who can I buy off in the membership to show them off tomorrow? And and so my cycle, I mean, it's a big Groundhog Day at the minute, don't you think? You're getting up and you're still in your house, and but it grounds me so much. And the fact that people come on and watch, I mean, if nobody was watching it or joining in with it, then of course I would stop doing it. But I get up with a sense of purpose and positivity, because it's about them, and they feed me. So if you're talking about zest, I mean, my zest comes from watching people flourish, and in our membership, the things that the people do, who they are, what they are about. I'm surrounded by 150 people who are just zesty souls. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better set of colleagues and friends to work with every day and want to support, because they support me back. And for those of you that are watching right now, and I see there's a load of you there, you're waving and joining, there's 50 people or something. You guys, you make it for me. I get up for you, but you make it for me, because like, why on earth would I want to not help you lot? So for all of you, and each and every one of you, I love them. I love you all a bit. I do. I love them a bit. And the things I learn from our members, it's so exciting. Like, we started the Mint Minute Challenge because I was like, what am I going to say every day? And Danielle, under the Rowan Trees, she was like, Nick, set everybody just a little challenge. So, everybody who's really overwhelmed, just set them a challenge. And I think we're on to challenge 11 or whatever it is. Like, people are doing the challenges, right? Ashleigh, they're going, oh, I've just done that one. And what is that one? And I've got to go back to that one. And so I sit there going, yay, 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 yay. People are learning stuff. People are getting engaged. And that's what I get out of bed for. It's lush. And this is the zest. It's lush.
And mint, as you would say. And I love that
mint.
I love that your whole kind of brand is around mint, but also so I've just recently joined Mint Club, which I'm very excited about. Thank you so much for welcoming me. And yeah, you've got like different streams based around mints, like mint sweets, is that right?
Yeah, well, but that didn't come from me. So our complete mad members, they all decided to give themselves names. So like the boot camps are like Mint Imperials, and they call me Chief Minty. I've got lots of minty names depending on what the day has been like, and it's just hilarious. But it was all from them. They named themselves, and they gave us all of these names, and so it shows you how engaged everybody is, and proud to be part of a community that is based on care and proper community spirit. I mean, the stuff the guys are doing for each other at the minute, I mean, you've seen some of it. I know you joined last week, but I mean, the stuff they're doing for each other is absolutely extraordinary. And it is difficult times, it's difficult times. And I watched our community be decimated 2 or 3 weeks ago. I mean, we went from vibrant small businesses to 20%, 30% of the membership shutting overnight. Boom, gone. just, and not gone, coming back, but you were there working one day and your doors are shut and you're out of your salon, and I watched that be decimated. So if it's my community, it's my responsibility to lead through that if I can. And by goodness, they're trying their best, and they're amazing, and the amount of positivity they are bringing now, it's incredible, because some of them have had a really bad time, really bad time. But you know what? That's what the community's there for. And actually, to be fair, running a business all of the time, running a small business, is just hard all of the time. This is extra hard. It's always really tricky. So, they're amazing, honestly. They are mint. It's named after them, right? Our members are mint. They're mint, man. They're brilliant. So why not name the club after them? Which is what we did when we rebranded last year.
I really love that. For any of my family or friends watching in other countries, or in South Africa or Zimbabwe Island, where my family are, if you hear the word mint in the northeast of England, it's a real slang term for, everything's just wonderful. Like, it's a great way to describe things, or it's like saying it's cool, just so you know, because it took me a while, I have to say, getting my head around some of the lingo in the northeast. So thank you for telling us about that. And actually, on that note, I would love it if you could share a bit about how giving your members were to each other. So a few weeks ago, what happened? It would be lovely to hear that story.
Where do we even start? Okay, so where do we even start? Right. One of the things, within about a week, I offered everybody a membership payment break. I thought it was the right thing to do. I was watching people whose businesses just shut. So I went into the group, and of course I got myself all into tears, because and I just said, at the end of the day, we will get through this. However, but some of you I know can't pay the membership fee. So if you want a 3-month break, just, tell us. So we get these messages through, and we're all, yeah, I need the payment break. I need the payment break. I need the payment break. And thank you so much. And then I got messages saying, I'll sponsor other businesses. Now, and at this point I was like, pardon? People just saying, I'll give you an extra 25 quid this month, because that'll pay for somebody who has to take the payment break. So that went on. And this was from other members who'd also had their businesses shut, right? People had lost everything, and they were offering to pay for others. And then our key sponsors stepped in. Oh, we'll pay for 10, and we'll do this. And at this point, I'm like, what's going on? And then 2 members moved the membership up and started paying more. So here's me saying, I want to look after you and protect you all, right? And then that was my mum and dad, by the way, because I'm doing this on my phone. So if you heard the phone ring, that was my dad chasing us, bless him. And then all of a sudden, everybody's offering to pay for each other, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, this is just absolutely incredible. And then of course you've got the stories. At the moment, we've got five of our members now raising money and making scrubs for the NHS. So so Amy has raised about 1,700 quid in 2 days. And let me make sure I get all of them. Carrie is sewn, and Leona is sewn, and I know Vicky is sewn, and who've I missed? Our Dr. Rebecca is sewn. So there's 5 of them. And Amy made my wedding dress. So she makes wedding dresses for a living. She's absolutely amazing. She makes corsets. And she's just like, I want to raise some money and make the scrubs. And then the other 4 are helping her and making the bags. I mean, this is extraordinary, when people's businesses have just stopped overnight, instead of just sitting there. And this is all of them. None of them are just sitting there, by the way. They start doing things for others. And there's loads and loads of, get in touch with me. If you're stuck, get in touch with me. If you're in pain, get in touch with me. If there's the camaraderie between the members is absolutely extraordinary, and it just makes you want to do it even more. Like the kindness, and this is difficult times, and they're kind anyway, but like, it just shows you the trueness of people coming out, their zest, or their creativity, and all the words that you use, their courage. I mean, I tell you what, I'll just stop making corsets and wedding dresses. I'll watch my business just stop, but I'll just start making scrubs instead. And I'll raise £1,700, by the way. I mean, this is the people. I mean, it's giving me goosebumps again. These are the people who I'm surrounded by, and all of them That's what they're like.
But you must get so emotional about all of this
All
and
the
all of these
time.
stories because they're so
All the
uplifting and
time.
so powerful. I think the other thing as well is something I've said to you before, in private, but um, when you're building a community, it's things like this that show you how well you're doing, because you wouldn't just have this with every business coach or every business trainer. As you said, you offered the opportunity for people to pause their membership, so the way for people to give back and sponsors to double what they're doing. Or I think that's incredibly powerful, and it's a sign of that this is not just a transactional business
No,
experience where people are
no.
coming and learning and being trained, moving on. They are actually transforming with you through your training and through your community and with each other. So that's really powerful.
I think that if anybody came to our training and thought we didn't care about them, that would be one of the worst things that somebody could say to me. Or it was just another training course. They weren't really bothered. We were bums on seats training. Can't abide it. And what is even better than all of that is the opportunity in the last 3 weeks. So we ran training every single day. We used to run something 3 times a month, and much of that training has been our members running it. So it's not me that they're watching and listening. They're watching and listening each other, which promotes them. It gives them a chance to try something different. It gives members a chance to share off their skills. You next week are doing an introduction to podcasting for us. This means that we can get our membership working for others in the membership, raising their own profile, right? In a way that we didn't have maybe 4 weeks ago. I mean, the members have always trained for each other, and how they've stepped up though, Ashleigh, will you do some training? Do you fancy doing some training? Do you want to show off your skills? What do you want to do for an hour? And people are just going, yes, please. I've never done it before. I'll give it a go. I'm a little bit frightened because it's really pushes out my comfort zone. But I'm coming back to courage. People are, we've had 30 and 40 and 50 people on this training, and people have never done this before. And so they're using all the courage they've got to do the best they can do for the other members. And it's working like a dream. I mean, we've had more people attend training in the last 3 weeks than probably the last year. It's just absolutely extraordinary. But they're pushing themselves to do that for one each other. And it's a safe space. It's a really safe space. So if we make mistakes, which we do, it doesn't matter. And imagine the learning that you get from that experience. That's the value. That is the core of the value. Is we all learn and we all get better.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's so nice to hear about everything that's happening. I'm super excited about teaching some podcasting tips and tricks next week. That's putting me out of my comfort zone, but also, I'm working on some podcasting training that people can, access and stuff like that. So it's also about pivoting for all of us, learning new ways of doing things and connecting and collaborating. So it's really exciting. You did mention there, you spoke about, all of the people accessing all of this every day, and I love that. I also want to ask, as a teacher, from more of a psychological point of view, so how about when you're learning all the time and you go through that growth mindset and that change curve? I'd love to hear your thoughts when people are putting themselves out of their comfort zone, they're learning a lot. How can they will there be times where they're going to feel, oh my word, what am I doing? I don't like this. It's scary.
Definitely. So the training that was done really was an opportunity to keep people together. Okay, so you've got a community that's been absolutely tipped on its head, totally tipped on its head. People are lost and what on earth's going on. You're living from hour to hour. You don't know whether you're getting the next bit of business in. So the training has been an anchor for people to come together every day and learn some stuff, but also probably a distraction from what's going on as well. We are backing off with the daily training, and we've incorporated two sessions a week, a Monday and a Friday, so people can really consolidate that learning. So they can come together and work in small groups and ask advice off one each other and actually just come together and network. And so for some people, they've had time in the afternoon to sort of do a bit of training in the morning and go away and think about it. But for loads of our members, they've got their kids at home, they've got their partners at home. That's completely unusual. So they're juggling all of this stuff. But there's a lot of stuff we're doing which is either a refresh or for the new members who've not done it before. And a lot of the conversations we've had around the things that we never get round to doing. Okay, so all those things that we know we must do that we put off continuously all the time. Like, I'd like to do that, or I'd like, so it's this balance of giving enough to learn, but giving some time back to actually absorb it and consolidate it and take action. Everything in Mint is about taking action, right? So what would also break my heart is if everybody came to training and did nothing after, because what's the point? You've just wasted your morning. It's cost you to come to training, not just the membership, but the fact that you would take 3 hours out, you drive somewhere, you can't come to our sessions and not do anything with that learning, because the accountability piece that we have in Mint means that, well, basically I become that benevolent dictator. Have you done it yet? Have you done it yet? Tell me why you haven't done it. Can I help you do it? Right. If you thought it was really important enough to come to training for, then what are you going to do with that learning? And I think that's what makes us significantly different as a club, is the personal relationships we have with each other. We're all accountable to each other. I mean, we've got a Hexham mafia, I mean, the members in Hexham, they meet in each other's kitchens, and they've got the support groups going on. It's got nothing to do with me. They maybe met through Mint, but they've got this gang. They were self-supporting gang. But the balance between teaching and learning and actually proper accountability and consolidation, we're just working through that ourselves, because we've never done this before. So, we've times 5 the amount of training people are having. And we just need to back that off a little bit. And that's fine, because we're learning how to do it too. And honestly, they would tell us if it was all too much. Nicola, stop it. I'm sick of hearing about you and listening. And I'm so pleased so many of them are listening, actually, because I thought they would have had enough of us. They heard us this morning and then all day. Hello, everybody.
It's great that you are keeping that community going and, still talking and nurturing them and their businesses. And I think that's one of the hardest things at the moment. Today it's been announced it's going to be another 3 weeks of lockdown at least. It can be hard to know, like, where to next. What do we do? How do we do this? It's pretty scary. And yet at the same time, you could get trapped in that emotional roller coaster. So having a safe space to, work with others, ask people questions. I'm really stuck for what I can do for cash. What do you think are my unique strengths? Where do I add value? And not just having one person to ask, but 150. That makes a pretty big difference, I guess, being able to ask.
I think so. And if that's the one thing they would say, Steve's just saying another 3 weeks to learn new things. That's awesome. And that's the way we look at it. So if we're in lockdown for another 3 weeks, so we've already done 3 weeks, we're halfway there. That's how I see it. We're halfway there. And, if we get to 3 weeks time and there's another couple of weeks added on, well, we're nearly finished. So rather than just assuming the half empty stuff, I'll assume the half full stuff instead, because it is really, really, really difficult at the minute. And if we can keep learning and prepare for when everything is going to then bounce back, as they keep saying, there will be a bounce back. We just need to be prepared that we still exist when that happens. We're under no illusion, so we're not making profit now. We just want to get through it. But can we be prepared, more prepared than ever before, for when it starts picking up again? And that's what's really important to me. How many of my members with me and my business will exist at the end of this? How many can we drag each other through? And that's what the community is for. But it's always for that, and if people have problems and we have the liveliest group ever, there is never a post that goes in there and nobody doesn't respond to it. Do you know what I mean? There's always somebody in that group who is there to help you. That's the point. And now more so than ever. But they help me. I hope you all realise, because I'm now talking to you again. I hope you all realise how much I learn from you all. I mean, honestly, Ashleigh, I'm so pleased, because you're going to see this. You're going to see it right now, and when it settles down, you're going to be part of this, and it's meant.
I love that. Thank you. So you spoke about 3 businesses and 2, not 2 failures, 1 failure, and then 1 redirection. What have you learned? What would you tell yourself? What do you wish you'd known? How does that make you uniquely positioned to help train other businesses?
So my very first business was called Daisy Green Magazine, and Suzanne, my best friend, and also who works in Mint now, we set it up together. And it was an online women's magazine. It was awesome. We used to do the clothes swaps. I mean, we were the first people doing the swishes, the clothes swaps. We used to travel around the country doing it. It was all eco-friendly stuff. We supported really small businesses. We ran fairs, and it was just brilliant. And we had not a clue about money. We didn't know how to sell properly. We tried loads of different ways to get money in. I paid other people instead of me, because at that point in my life, I was having a bad time personally. I had no value of me in the business, or the understanding that I should come first because it was mine and I should pay myself. So we were trying, but it was really exciting as well because we were trying new stuff. We were really innovative. We bought another events company. We ended up at Gardeners World Live. We had Kent County Show. We had a big marquee. I mean, we were doing it all, and making no profit and making no money. So the thing that I learned out of that was it's probably not a good idea to set up a business in the middle of a personal car crash life, but actually that's what I did. And you must know your money. And so the course that we run, Let's Talk About Money, comes directly from me not understanding finances properly, not understanding a proper sales cycle, not understanding cash flow, and looking at the bank going, can I pay anybody this month? Every month. It was always like that, and trying to balance it all off, trying to learn how you do everything for a small business, making decisions that maybe we shouldn't have made. And so we had that for 5 years, and we had staff, and I had to make staff redundant, and that broke my heart. And I still feel it now. We had a situation with a member of staff which I wouldn't wish on anyone at all. And I'm not going to, but it was a learning lesson like I've never had in my life. The worst work time I've ever had. And so the second business, Digital Sparkles, came out of that. And our first business we closed. And so you take all that learning into business number two, and you still carry on making mistakes, but as long as you're doing more right than wrong, we're okay. And that was really, really successful. At the end of Digital Sparkles, I was training all over the Northeast and North Yorkshire. We had a six-figure turnover. I had a lovely time. I was able to buy a new car for the first time in my life. It was amazing because I felt really good because it was something I'd always wanted to do. And I chose to close that to run Mint. So, running businesses is a massive roller coaster, but we must know our money, we must know our figures, and we must know that every single bit fits with every single bit. They're not discrete. So marketing isn't a thing over there, and money isn't a thing over there. Every single bit that revolves and is centered on us is all interlinked. You can't bring money in if you're not selling. You can't get any sales if you're not marketing. You need to market your business, but you need to understand how that works and what's the strategy behind it, what's your vision. Everything is so interconnected. And I think people, and certainly I did, thought, well, marketing is a discrete job over there, and and the finances are for the accountant, and that's over there. And it's not. Every bit is so linked. And it's our responsibility, self-employed or a director, because my business has always been limited. It's my responsibility to make the business work. It's my legal responsibility to make the business work. Therefore, I have to learn all of it. You have to get to the point that you know as much as you can, and then you bring really brilliant people in, which is what we have now in Mint. Because as I was explaining to you offline, we have about 15 or so people who gravitate and help around the business. They're all self-employed. I choose that very carefully because I can put money into their businesses, but they are a team. They are our team of self-employed people who will help with branding, or who help with video, or who help with the website, or whichever bit it is that we need. Because I don't have those skills, and I'm not interested in most of it. I like the learning and the teaching bit, and I'm good at that bit, and I'm not good at the other bits at all. So let's get those really good people in to do it, Please, everybody, learn your numbers, know your numbers inside out. All of your numbers, they really, really matter. That's the thing.
I so agree. Actually, I mean, my main numbers that I normally look at is metrics relating to social media and digital marketing, because that is, pretty much the majority of my business is looking at after social media. So I think a lot of people don't always look at information like that or record it regularly, but at the same time, I always ignored my finances. I just didn't really think about it. I was like, oh well, I've got this in the bank account. Well, I guess I could buy that thing, rather than thinking about the cash flow long term and thinking more strategically. And I'm really grateful. Steve said that what a time to learn stuff. I have been so good with my finances recently. I've got a new accountant. I've, been looking over everything with a fine-tooth comb, and it hasn't been pleasant viewing, but it's a great place to start. The only way you can get to where you need to be is to know where you've been.
Yeah, absolutely. Where are you right now? Where have you been? How did you get there? What is the context of those numbers? What are they telling you? And the thing with numbers is they don't lie. If you've got 50p in the bank, you've got 50p in the bank. It doesn't lie to you. If you've had a really smashing month, why? My question is always why? Why did we get there? Why did that happen? Why have we got more money than we thought? A lot of people are really frightened to look at the numbers because they're assuming what they're going to tell them. And loads of our members have worked through the stuff that we do and said, actually, I got a really pleasant surprise. Actually, I've done better than I thought. Actually, I've actually got profit, but I didn't know it. And that, it does take a bit of courage to sit down and look at the bits that you don't know very well or that you're scared of. A lot of people, for example, wouldn't sit and do this with you because they don't want to go live on a video. And it's pushing those boundaries and understanding how every bit fits with the next bit. I love that you check your social media metrics. What I want to know is what impact that has. So what impact does that have on your sales? How many sales are coming from those metrics? What does that actually mean for your business? Which platform performs best? Right? Where are our customers coming from? Where do your new listeners come from? The metrics have a story to tell. And if you get to understand that story, what they're telling you, then we understand how to survive and grow our businesses and be better at it. So when we've got the courage to look at that and look at face on, then we build from it. Or otherwise you're building from a spot that you're just guessing, and guesswork doesn't, believe me, you end up shutting a business because of that.
It's so true. When we make assumptions, that can be so dangerous. So I'll share a quick story with you. It's only very recently, probably January, that I started posting on Facebook about Nurture Your Zest. I didn't really feel comfortable putting my podcast online because my friends and family might see it and they might think I'm weird. Like, who do I think I am having a podcast, or what am I doing? And so I purposefully didn't put it there. The interesting thing was when I started to post about my episodes on Facebook, my listeners skyrocketed. And what I find now is there's people listening in all over the world, in Antarctica and Canada, and there's about 100 regular listeners in the US. And I would never have got that had I not posted more widely. But also we make assumptions that people will think I'm weird. People will think, who are you to talk about that? And we put these stories on ourselves. But actually, sometimes challenging yourself and shaking those stories up can be really powerful.
Absolutely. For me, that's about your mindset. So we call it mindset. At the end of the day, we're so busy beating ourselves up or assuming we know how somebody's going to react, or who do I think I am? And I think that's quite a Northeast thing as well. Who do you think you are? You're getting a bit big for your boots there, pet. Like, what? Because I want to run a successful business. And I hear many, many stories, and you will come across it with your fellow members now. This idea of we're just not quite good enough, or who do I think I am, or I don't have the skills. Or in fact, 2 days ago, someone said to me, I think I could do some videos, Nick, but I'm not as good as you. I'm not as confident as you. Well, that to me, I was like, why are you comparing yourself to me? Like, you're lush at what you do. You're brilliant. You're really talented. And why would you're your own self? You don't need to compare yourself to any single person. And I guess if that was another thing I would strive for, apart from no numbers, is having every human that wants to run a business needs to know how good they are in that it is about them, and that they're absolutely fine to do it. We've all got a place, right? We've all got a place. It's hard work, like, but we've all got a place to do it. And this idea that we compare ourselves to others, or like for you, why would you assume your friends and your family would be like judgmental? I mean, that is when you ask yourself, when you think about it, what is that actually about? Why make that assumption instead of the assumption that they're going to go, well done, you're doing an amazing job, that's awesome. And so we assume this stuff, and it's complete rubbish most of the time. It's complete rubbish. And I've got so many tales of members who've pushed the boundaries and done stuff and brought money in and and had results that they never in their lives would have expected. And I think that because we've got this community that pushes gently and sometimes not so gently, because we push each other, you find out all this glorious, wonderful stuff that you just thought wasn't achievable, and yet it absolutely is.
I love that. It's really beautiful to hear. And comparisonitis is such a nightmare. Yes, exactly.
Just stop it. Just don't. I mean, it's like comparing apples and pears, right? I could compare myself to any other trainer, or I don't know, who would I compare myself? There's only me. I mean, can you imagine more of me? I mean, that would be just horrendous. Can you imagine 10 Nicola Jaynes? I mean, but who do I compare myself to? Because I am me. Now, this has taken, I say this really glibly, but it's not. It's taken years and years and years to find a fit. And I had to create a business where I fitted in, because I didn't fit in anywhere else. But I don't compare myself anymore. I've stopped watching everybody else. I'm not chasing my competitors, because what's the point, right? They're not me. They're different. I can't compare myself to them, because it's what for what reason? They're different from me. They have their own skills. They have their own personality. They have their own tribe, and that might cross over onto me, but it doesn't really, because you've got to want a loud gobby Geordie if you're coming in a my club. That's mint, right? It doesn't suit everybody. It doesn't. We've had members come and leave after 2 or 3 months, and and part of that is because of how close we all get, and because of the community that we've got. It doesn't suit everybody. It's not comfortable for everybody, and you can't join mint and think you're going to just sit on your laurels and do nout, because that's absolutely not what happens. So I don't suit people. I'll tell you, once I was introduced as Marmite, it was properly a very surreal experience. Two ladies. This is Nicola, and she's really Marmite, and you'll either love her or you really won't. And I was standing there thinking, yeah, I'm not sure that's lush. That's not mint. But it's absolutely true. Of course, it's absolutely true, because everybody isn't your customer. And if you think about it, you're assuming that everybody would be your friend. Why would everybody be your friend? Why would you want to be everybody else's friend? It's just not how it works. You find your tribe, you be yourself, you be true to yourself, and you find your tribe. And it's such a cliche, but it is really, really true, what's Marie saying? Some really interesting points going on here. I like to be aware of how I'm treating my inner child. She keeps me in check. Mine is about 4.5, and she's really nosy, my inner child.
And Marie's also added that to achieve big goals, you have to do small things every day. And that is such a valid point. And actually, I found this. So some people are doing really well at the moment, staying super positive. Some days I am, sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm struggling to get out of bed. But those little things every day, whether it's getting up, making your bed, putting a load of washing in, whatever works for you, it's those little things,
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. And remember, social media isn't real. Social media is what we choose to put on social media. If you're looking at people and comparing yourself right now and thinking, God, they're doing all of that, why am I not doing it? And I've had members say this to me: just don't bother, because it's not real. You're watching what people choose to put out. Like, you see this bit of my room behind me. If you could see what the floor looked like, or the fact that I'm sitting in my pajama bottoms, right? It is what we portray. It's what we choose to portray. So this is why comparisonitis is just no good, because you're comparing yourself to what people want you to see, not what is actually going on behind the scenes. And the behind the scenes is the same for all of us. I wake up scared and frightened. I don't know where the business is going to be in 2 or 3 months' time. I don't know how many of our members are going to be okay through this, but if you dwell on that, what are we going to do dwelling on that? So little actions all through the day, just day by day, and everybody is trying their best to get through this, everybody. So hats off to everybody. And don't forget to clap, by the way, at 8 o'clock, because it's clapping night. Tis Thursday,
exactly. And speaking of clapping, we will be finishing soon just to make sure people have got
Mm,
plenty of time to do what they need to do before we
yeah,
clap for carers and the
yeah,
NHS and anyone else looking after us at the moment.
everybody. Let's,
Yeah,
like the bin people, definitely. Can you imagine if the bins weren't collected, or if the communities weren't looked after, and all the people in the shops, and like the just and everybody clap for yourselves as well, because this is so difficult, and those frontline people are the best in the world, but we're all making an effort, and it is such a struggle. So just get clapping and get your pots and pans out. I think we're doing pots and pans tonight.
it's very exciting and very emotional, actually. I've
Oh,
cried a few times watching the
yeah.
police in front of the hospitals, kind of sirens blaring. It's really powerful. Yeah,
Mm,
I think seeing the way that people are responding.
yeah,
It's
totally.
really nice. We have a question again from Marie. So great question here.
So, what advice would you have for someone with an idea for a social app? Ooh, I've done some research and found a platform that will create the algorithm. I'm wondering where I would start. My goodness. So, I would definitely be doing the research to see what exists and what's similar. And then working with the community that you've got and the people that you trust. I'd probably be talking to maybe a dozen business friends who understand, or maybe doing a potential customer base. So with the new ideas, you want to have those groups of people who you can ask the advice on, and just, I'm floating this idea. What do you think? And either business friends and or potential customers. So that's part of your research. Definitely looking at what's out there already. But I would start by definitely thinking about what value is that new app what is it gonna bring? What is it gonna give? Why would people want it? And ask yourself the really tough questions. Why would people want this thing? Whether this is a new app, a new product, or a new service, what are people going to want? How is it going to solve their problems? Because all of our products and services are there to solve people's problems. So once we know the problems it's going to solve, and we can identify who those people are that are going to have this problem to solve, I will be getting those focus groups together and asking their opinion. And then starting to map out some just basic costs as well. So how much does it cost to put an app together? Who's going to develop it? What's the content going to look like? Is there any funding? So you've got that kind of covered off as well. But I mean, things work, don't they, when there is a need for that thing? And I think we all need to do that research to find out, um, to find out if people want or need what it is. I'm dead excited to now know what the app is. Right, I want to know more about it. That's because I'm nosy. Yeah, and if it's yours, do you have all those skills? And if you have all those skills, great. But if not, who would you bring in to help develop this and get it? And what's the route to market? Are you looking for someone to invest, or could you do it yourself financially? The crowdfunding and all of that. So there's quite a lot of questions. But the first one I think is who needs this? What problems is it going to solve? Is that all right? Because
Uh,
that was properly off the top of my head.
yeah, that was brilliant. Yeah, and Marie's continued that, so we can maybe continue this conversation. I can make an introduction for you to
Yeah.
outside of here. And she said not live, so we'll chat about that not live, but in private,
Okay.
which is great.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing your advice there. I think that's really important, and it's important as well. I do a lot of studying at the moment. I'm an MBA student. We talk about innovation and entrepreneurship. One of the things we talk about the most is getting that advice from many different people.
Aye.
And it's so scary, but it gives you that exposure to different ideas and sometimes redirects your focus on where you want to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you have a worldview. So you see things this way. And we've become really tunneled, especially entrepreneurial type brains. Like, we can do that bit and we see this bit. We see it so clearly sometimes that you've missed these 22 other things that are really important out here. So that, again, it comes back to having a community, a team, people around you who will give you honest advice. And this is often not your family, by the way. I genuinely believe this, because family look at things in a different way and they're trying to look after you. So getting that honest advice from other business people who know what they're talking about, and looking for the things that you've missed. What we don't want, in my experience, is people going, yeah, that's great. I don't want that. What's wrong with it? Pull it to bits. Tell me what I've missed. Tell me what I haven't seen. What advice have you got? Tell me if it's a rubbish idea. You know, it's that's helpful. People saying yes, it's great. That's lovely, but it's not actually helpful. I mean, if everybody said yes, it's great, and everybody was willing to buy it, fair enough. But it's when people pull things apart for you and think, have you thought of this? Have you thought about that? And that's what you've got on your course, isn't it? You've got loads of brilliant people who are able to give you that advice and that support in the first place.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Thank you so much. So we'll need to end soon because I want to make sure we can clap. I have two very quick questions for you.
Okay.
First of all, where can people find you online? So how can they find out more about Mint? How can they find out more about you? Where do you like to hang out?
So people tell me that I'm everywhere as if it's a bad thing, but that's how marketing should work. So we've got mintbusinessclub.co.uk, and then the social handles are all the same. So it's Mint Biz Club. So you'll find us on Twitter, on Facebook. We've got Business Support Facebook group, which is the free group, on LinkedIn. What have I missed? On Instagram stories. So we're covering all of that off. But if you want to find out about it, go to the website mintbusinessclub.co.uk. And thank you for letting me shout out about that one.
Of course, absolutely. So my last question, very important one. It's my favorite. What is your number one word to nurture your zest?
Oh, mint. It's got to be mint.
Of course. Would you like
to
expand very briefly on why mint is your word?
Right. So it is a word that's been used with me and my brother. And when I hear me saying mint, my brother used to go mint and take extract the Michael. He's poking fun at people. I didn't swear, Ashleigh. I didn't. I managed a whole 50 minutes without swearing. Right. So I can hear my brother saying it, but it's one of those things where it's just like, it's mint, man. It's mint. And it's so northeast. And I'm so proud of where I'm from and the people up here and the entrepreneurship and just the camaraderie of the northeast. I love it entirely. And so it's a happy word for me. It's like, it just represents, but it's about other people. So it's mint, you're mint, your business is mint, your effort is mint, you're doing a mint job. I'm going to use it as much as I possibly can. and that makes me smile.
Well, thank you so much for a mint conversation and for
thank you.
For connecting with me. It's always nice to, meet people online and start chatting more. So I really appreciate that. I think in the next year we'll do some great things together.
Totally.
I hope you have a lovely evening. I'm going to kick you out the chat now so I can get people clapping. But thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for having me, inviting me. It shows that LinkedIn work because we met on LinkedIn. We've been talking for ages. And it's just awesome to be working together. So I'm so grateful to you for inviting me on here. And I look forward to your training for us next week.
See
you later. Thanks, Ashleigh.
Bye. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in tonight to Nurture Your Zest. And I hope that going through these tough times at the moment, you will be looking after yourself. If you'd like to join us next week, we have one of these live streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Our guest on Tuesday is called Sophie McDermott. She is a project controller at Jacobs. She's an engineer. So I'm always looking to support women in STEM. So another thing that I'm really proud of her for, she's a Newcastle University graduate and has now become the youngest that I know chair of Convocation, which is a body of alumni of Newcastle University former graduates. And that's a really important and very powerful role because she's looking after more than 220,000 alumni in 180 countries. On another note, she also has launched an incredible initiative called Women's Rights. And that is all about female writers telling their stories and opening and owning space as women writers. So I'm really delighted to chat to her more about that, and hopefully you'll join us then. So Tuesday at 7. In any case, I hope you have a great week and great weekend, and I'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye.
You've been listening to Nurture Your Zest. You can find us online on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and LinkedIn at Nurture Your Zest. If you've liked today, please subscribe. You can also leave us a review if you're feeling extra kind. Today's podcast has been made available through the kind sponsorship of TL Multimedia and That Branding Company. We look forward to catching up with you again soon as you learn to nurture your zest.